Hello, my name is Oliver Kennedy and welcome to the presentation of my research proposal into the key barriers into early to mid-career progression within the architectural profession. As an introduction to the research topic, I will discuss a few of the key areas of discussion. One of the fundamental reasons for this research is that the roles and skills that are required within the profession of architecture are rapidly shifting and evolving. Some of the research conducted has indicated that while skills are increasingly valuable in the practice of architecture, that many schools of architecture are still shying away from teaching practical knowledge and the use of digital design tools, although many use them for their presentation through self-directed learning. Additionally, there is substantial information that implies that the formal registration rates in architecture are declining. This was previously seen as many graduates' end goal. There is a growing need to identify whether the outcomes of the education of architecture are facilitating or hindering the career progression of architects. Skills such as digital design have been present for a substantial period of time. However, there is still a lack of understanding on how these skills would link from education to practice and similarly from practice to education. There is still little recent research into the broad scope of the architectural profession linking contemporary issues. A broad scope study would try to be inclusive of current students, recent graduates, registered architects, and also those who are in positions that are aligned with architecture, tutors, professors, and importantly those who have left the profession. A proposed list of questions would be further defined during the exploratory phase of this project. This is to better understand the issues and to be less assumptive. Some of these questions are you seeking to become a fully registered architect in the next 5 years? Which they would answer yes or no. Additionally, they might ask something about their formal education within architecture and using a scale for that response. The next two questions that I've proposed are dealing with the comfortability of those respondents in their skill sets, such as digital design, which is related to people graduating with these skills, or their ability to architecturally design well, which is related to people who are already in the industry. I will now give a brief overview of the literature. For a more in-depth view, please observe the research proposal. There was a psychoanalyst that coined the phrase, "If you want to understand a culture, study its nurseries." In adopting this phrase to meet my research proposal, you could consider it as if you want to understand the profession of architecture, then study its formal education. When analysis is conducted, characteristic arrangements of teaching and learning are able to be detected. These could be understood as signature pedagogies, as discussed by Schulman in 2005, traditional or non-traditional practice paradigms, as discussed by Dawson in 1996, and the theories of anticipatory socialization. These understandings of architectural theory can help to figure out the culture present within architecture and the likelihood for change. When collecting the data for this project, it will be conducted as a two-phase data collection program that uses a mixed method approach. Phase 1 will use a qualitative collection of data and will begin by conducting an exploratory series of interviews in order to gain a better clarification on the data and to curate the questions that will be conducted during Phase 2. Recruitment for this phase will be conducted by sending out emails to prospective interviewees. It is aimed to conduct these interviews with at least 2 people that are from the categories of students, educators, graduates, architects, and importantly, those who have left the profession. Phase 2 will be a quantitative collection of data that will aim to quantify the data questions that were curated through Phase 1. The recruitment for Phase 2 will likely be conducted via a method of convenience sampling. either via publicly available contact databases with the assistance of one or more educational institutions or via social media. Following this, the respondents will partake in a questionnaire that will be conducted online. Additionally, the data collection why a mixed method approach is needed is that an exploratory phase is to confirm or deny the gaps in the limited research that has been undertaken in order to provide more relevant questions during the quantifying phase. The quantifying phase is used to establish the data on the topic. Prior to the commencement of this study, the nature of the research will be outlined, anonymity will be guaranteed, and the participants will be notified of their right to withdraw at any time. Consent will be then obtained from each of the participants, and we are hoping that we can at least get 10 people from each of the 4 study groups that will complete participation. Now going into the data analysis for the project. After phase 1 has been conducted, there will be a cross-sectional observation of the differences between those in the formal education and that of the practice of architecture. When looking at phase 2 and its ongoing nature, there will be statistical analysis performed on the data to identify any significant relationships in these groups. This process has been defined as exploratory, quantifying, and then receiving of the outcomes. As part of this study, there will be some limitations that are present and must be acknowledged. The study will make use of convenient samples to gather participants for the questionnaires. As such, it may be difficult to provide an accurate representation of each of the groups that are targeted. The respondents will be emailed, and we're envisaging that this will have a low response rate. We are, however, hoping that by making a follow-up call, this will prompt to complete, and all users should be encouraged to participate. As a controlling measure on experimental bias, it is proposed to standardize any interactions with the respondents. Recall bias has been proposed as a significant threat to this study, and it has been acknowledged that where practical, it should be suggested to utilize objective data sources. As a research project, I acknowledge that there are numerous ethical considerations when considering this research and any research in general. There should be emphasis placed on the respondents' confidentiality and that they can leave this study at any time. Additionally, they should be provided with the survey description and any contact information for the researcher or QT. The scheduling for this project we'll be looking at in weeks 1 to 3, we'll be doing the preliminary tasks. In week 4, I'll be doing phase 1 recruitment. Weeks 5 to 6, I'll be doing phase 1 data collection. Weeks 6 to 7, phase 1 data analysis. Then into weeks 7 and 8, I'll be starting the phase 2 preliminary. Weeks 9 to 10, we'll look at the phase 2 data analysis. Following that, weeks 12 to 15 will be the time to write the report, and in week 15 to submit the final report. Now we come to the expected outcomes and benefits. When conducting this study, there are some initial expected outcomes and benefits. These are items that, through the existing research, are feasible to be observed on completion. As this research is mainly observatory and exploratory of the topic, the benefits are mainly related to further research areas or to applications that could be applied to the education or architecture in general. So some of the outcomes are the identification of the differences between the education and the practice in architecture, such as its learning environment and also its expected versus its actual outcomes. Also, we'll be looking to ascertain the range of skills that are currently available in the education of architecture versus what is available in the practice. Additionally, we'll be looking to provide an understanding of the progression of those in their career in the architectural profession, whether it is students, educators, architects, or those that are aligned in the profession or have left the profession altogether. Some of the benefits are the identification of areas where the curriculum of architectural education can align with the practice of architecture, and also the identification of areas that graduates of architecture should invest in learning outcomes and skills. And we're also hoping to identify if and why those in the architectural profession are progressing as planned in their career. Thank you very much for your time. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.